This is a review on the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2. Cover date is May here. This is from the original series by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. You can get this in the Marvel Masterworks line, the Marvel Omnibus Volume 1, or the Marvel Essentials. I am going to show art here, story, and my interpretation of it. So if you don't want spoilers, you might not want to see this video. Fair warning. First thing to notice is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 2. It has the corner icon right here. Issue 1 did not have the icon, as you can see here. Issue 2 uses this icon logo, and for the rest of the entire Steve Ditko run and into the John Romita run, this logo was used the same and it did not change. Later in the John Romita run, he would make his own interpretation of this art panel, and they would use that, but this art panel stays the entire run of the series and the original artist of the Spidey book. This cover is by Steve Ditko and not Jack Kirby, who usually did a lot of Marvel covers or pencils that Stan Lee relied on. You could see here the Vulture, Spider-Man, and it says here, 2 great new Spider-Man thrillers, 2 great new supervillains, featuring the Vulture and Spider-Man trapped by the terrible Tinkerer. One thing to notice is this red background type. I'm not really a fan of that because, when is the sky like red? I thought it just visually should have been blue. It just seems like odd to see a color choice like that. That's just my opinion of it. I would have liked to see like a real sky, light blue or something. Just that red, just visually it's like popping wrong, I think. And especially the contrast, because you got the red on Spider-Man's costume here, and then red there, and here. It's like, it's all over the place. You see the Vulture's costume clearly green, and you see he has like a tail here, something not noticed much. And the building design is pretty nice. I like the grayish color here, and the use of shadow, and there is some detail. Might be tough to see, but there is detailing on the buildings, a lot of it here. It's a Spider-Man Duel to the Death with the Vulture. This is a classic comic panel by Steve Ditko, interpreted many times. You can see he's holding the Vulture's leg, the Vulture is looking at him. It's a battle of youth versus age. And the Vulture's wings is a concept that Ditko made, as far as I know, and other artists have used or stolen the idea so much. The Falcon, same idea, he has used it. Characters made in Image Comics, there have been characters who fly who have used this type of wing design. It has been copied idea-wise many times over. And I guess, that's just a serious form of flattery, right? That an artist would have such an idea that others would be almost compelled to copy it. Like the background design, the building here. This is a splash page meant to tell you what's going to happen in the story. And I like the full panel. You could see the full body art here. Nothing is hidden. A lot of artists now, they'll hide like parts. And I'm not really a fan of that. But also to notice, check that out. The paneling breaks the border. You could see it here. That's something you didn't see much of in the 60s that we probably should have seen more of, where artists would break the panel border. And this one is just so nice. We start right here at the first official page of the story. The Vulture stealing something. And that sets it up. That sets up the story, all you need to know. And you see J. Jonah Jameson, publisher of Now magazine. That's something not mentioned much, the Now magazine part of the paper. You see Jonah, who was introduced in issue 1. And Peter Parker is in school. And they want pictures of the Vulture. What this leads to is Spider-Man working for J. Jonah Jameson as a freelance photographer. It started in issue 2. Basically, people wanted pictures of the Vulture. Spider-Man needs money for Aunt May, realizes, hey, I can take pictures of the Vulture, sell it to Jonah, and make some money for home. Simple idea, started here, and it has followed the Spider-Man mythos ever since. Meanwhile, the Vulture is planning a big heist, and no one can stop him. He thinks he wants to steal jewelry. It's funny how the Vulture is hiding out in a barn. You wouldn't think he would hide out in a barn. Maybe that's an aspect they should bring back to the character. And he says here in a note, "I shall steal the diamond shipment from under your noses," the Vulture. So he taunted them. Pretty nice. The Vulture meets Spider-Man. The Vulture doesn't know Spider-Man's taking pictures of him. He gets the drop on him, dumps him in a water tower, and Spider-Man has a tough time escaping because he can't stick to the water tower walls because he's all wet. Nice sequence paneling here. Just look. You know, today's comic book artists, in my opinion, a lot of them don't know storytelling to a high degree. They rely on flash or pin-ups, but great storytelling like a Jack Kirby or a Steve Ditko, those are examples I think for any artist to follow in terms of if you really want to tell a story. Clear paneling, no hiding body parts or anatomy with shadows and smoke and fog, showing you full on what's going on. And if you could read the story and know what's going on by panels and not words, then you've done your job as an artist. Check it out. Spider-Man's following the Vulture. He knows something's going on. He swoops around. Spider-Man's like, where is he? He gets the drop on Spider-Man, picks him up, throws him in the water tower, flies away. You can see the water tower in the background. Spider-Man wakes up, tries his web shooter. Nope, can't crawl. He's getting an idea to get out, and then he's gonna use his jumping power, and he escapes. That's perfect storytelling right there. This is also the issue. Spider-Man develops his belt. He developed it to hold extra web fluid and to hold his camera and eventually his Spider-Man flashlight, which he did not have yet. No Spider-Man light yet. Anyway, he's building something to fight the Vulture. He meets Jonah here to get a freelance job. The Vulture talked about his heist earlier. There's a lot of story going on, and this is only 10 pages in. That's right, the Vulture snuck under the ground, out of a subway, out of a sewer panel, and then he flew in the sewer to get away, right through a subway station. That's some innovative ideas back then. Spider-Man's after the Vulture for their second encounter, and some nice detailing. This is the key panel. The Vulture has lost his power, and basically the Vulture is defeated. Spider-Man found out the Vulture used magnetics for his flying ability, and he had an anti-magnetic device that screwed him up, and that's how he defeated the Vulture, which shows Spider-Man's intellect. You know, Spider-Man you think is a brawler, but he's also smart. It shows an aspect of using his science and technology, you know, to inspire people to think, rather than just beating up opponent up with his fists. That's the Spider-Man that has become popular. A thinker, not just a fighter with his hands. And he sells it to the papers to Jonah. And for once, Spidey has a happy end of the story with Aunt May. He has money. The Vulture is locked up, and he's vowing revenge. And I like this little thing at the end where you see the end, and Steve Ditko drew the Spider-Man and Peter Parker head smiling. Really nice. And guess what? That 14-page story is only part 1. Because even though you had enough right there for a solo issue, they gave you a second story. This one is called The Uncanny Threat of the Terrible Tinkerer. Nice splash page by Ditko right here. This old guy, the Tinkerer, is hitting Spider-Man with a ray. Check that out. I'm trying my best with the camera, but you know, there's going to be some errors. In this story, I didn't like it hardly as much as the previous one. This one dealt with space aliens, which eventually would be retconned out by later writers, and Spider-Man encounters aliens. That's an aspect Stan Lee always did early on in the 60s. Aliens from outer space would meet the hero. So Spider-Man here gets some advice from a teacher, and the Tinkerer repair shop. This is the character right here. And these are the aliens. These green things with antenna. His spider sense indicates something is wrong about the situation here. I'm gonna go through this quick. So he's gonna investigate Spider-Man, obviously. And when he sees the aliens and they're fighting, he hits him with the ray, and he gets captured. And using his ingenuity, through a little hole in the glass, Spider-Man hits the release lock, and the aliens get away. Spider-Man finds out it was a plot about, I guess the aliens were spying, and eventually they want to take over the Earth. That whole typical thing. And Spider-Man, as Peter Parker says, he wouldn't believe it himself if he didn't have the Tinkerer mask. Which means the Tinkerer was actually an alien when his mask was removed. And these green aliens, you would see a mention of them in Spider-Man Annual 1. But you didn't see the Tinkerer again for many, many issues. Not in the Ditko run, not with Stan Lee. This was like a one-time character. In my opinion, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, they were trying to find their way with the Spider-Man character. And trying to find what works and what didn't work. Alien aspect, you know, that's just such a foreign element. I don't think it worked well. The art is really nice. That's like one of the best panels early on right here. It's an okay Spidey tale. The first one is much better, but still enjoyable. You know, you really can't go wrong with these two creators. And nice ending panel here, full body shot. You can see the webbing. Going to review the next issue in a future video. First appearance of Dr. Octopus. You want to check that out? Comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.